Welcome to the Trail and Adventure Motorbike Podcast with me, Clive Barber, and my good mate, Noel Tom. For the days when you can't ride your bike, there's always the Trail and Adventure Motorbike Podcast. Well, this is quite exciting, isn't it? We've got all our new recording equipment.
It's amazing. I love what you've done with this room. How did you find all these egg boxes?
Well, this isn't the best room, so we've got some good kit now. We've actually got 2 microphones. We need to get another one for the third person that we have in. And we're in my living room, which has actually got very few soft furnishings.
Yeah.
And it's quite a big, so there's going to be some room noise, I think, when we listen back to this. But, it'll be all right. What could possibly go wrong? So, I think I'm peaking a little bit louder than you. Go on, do some talking.
No, but you have a much louder voice than me. Mine's more mellow.
So that's probably why you need to move the microphone a little bit closer.
Closer, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. How's that? That's closer.
It's very sexy as well.
Yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
welcome to...
Fantastic.
Sounds like 11 p.m. It's actually 4 p.m.
I'm actually nodding off, you're so sexy. That's my usual response. So that sounded good. So it's been ages since we've done a podcast.
It has, yeah. And I'm quite nervous about this because I got into... My girlfriend, lady partner wife, listened to the last one.
Yeah.
And I got into a lot of trouble because I was told that I was talking too much and not asking you enough questions.
Well, that was the very first one we did.
Yeah.
Well, I listened back to that today, actually, because I thought, because it's just you and me, really, we're just kind of testing this kit and making sure everything works. And I thought I'd just listen back to that to make sure we didn't actually start talking about the same things over and over again, because that would be fairly tedious if anybody's listened to all of them.
So I wrote a list of questions, and number one is, are there any questions that you'd like to ask me about what I've been doing?
Well, the thing is, as you've been doing, motorbike-wise, you've been doing rather more than me, haven't you, recently?
That's not hard, though.
No, this is true. So this is tragic, deeply tragic. I last rode my motorbike on the TET trip in May. June, July, August, September.
Let's call it a year.
That's half a year, nearly.
Yeah.
Absolutely tragic. But then I suppose it is the rugby season. And when the rugby season kicks in, that's pretty much all I do at the weekends is run kids around, watch rugby.
Life's got in the way, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Pesky life.
Yes. But that's good. I enjoy rugby too. So that kind of works out all right. But you've done one big trip since we last spoke.
I did it with Mr. Ross, King of the Tet. Godfather of the Tet.
Yes. So tell us what you did?
We went to northern Spain. John had been sent some routes by the linesman out there. And he wanted to have a look at them to see if they could be added on later on to change that particular section of the Tet. So we were just riding them to see if they were big bike friendly, I suppose. So the ones that we tried that were a bit gnarly and a bit rough and a bit hard, we sort of thought, well, no, probably not great to put a big bike over, really.
So what bikes were you guys on?
So we were on a lovely mixture. I was on my lovely old XR, so I obviously had the oldest bike. John,
that's not really a big bike, though, is it? It's a 650. But
I think it's a big bike, just because it says 650 and it's probably 150, 60 kilograms, probably.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. All bikes are heavy with luggage, aren't they?
This is true. Makes a big difference,
That's
even on an enduro bike.
So John's on his lovely 690 X-Dakar bike with all its fairings and extra tanks.
So that bike has actually done the Dakar?
In South America, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're all great riders, but it was astounding what he could get that massive bike up and down.
So who else was there and what were they on?
Joe was on a lovely Husky 701, which was quite a new bike. So with him, he had Moscow Motor luggage on that. And
you have to get the Moscow Motor in, don't you? Your best luggage friends.
Mr. Faulkner was on a BMW X Challenge, another 650. So that was a lovely bike. There's only apparently about 50-ish, I think, in the UK of those. Yeah,
they didn't last for very long, did they? There was a fairly short run. Yeah. It's a Rotax engine or something like that.
I'm not sure. I think so. Yeah, I think it is. But it's a lovely thing. It'll become like the HP2. It'll become really, really desirable after a while, I would think. It's quite desirable now.
So what was the trip then? Where did you go from and to? You got a ferry?
We had months of debate about this because we were going to trailer the bikes down, and they've traded them in the past. I'm a huge fan of the ferry because I just love the fact that you just get on the ferry, eat, sleep, wake up in northern Spain or, at the edge of the Pyrenees. So I kind of pestered them to ditch a trailer and take the ferry. In the end, we couldn't actually get a ferry that would take 4 bikes. 4-bike trailers are quite unusual. Turns out they don't really exist. So we met down in Wiltshire and we rode across Dartmoor and went down to Plymouth and got the overnight ferry, which leaves at about 4 in the afternoon, gets there at 1 or 2 the next day. So it's fantastic. And now you are in northern Spain. So we got into Santander, I think.
Santander.
Or Bilbao.
Was that the bank?
Yeah. And then rode along the motorway for about half an hour and then we were straight onto small roads and tracks really after that.
And were you rough camping?
We were a mixture.
Here we go.
It's really hard. I think we wild camped the first night. You are the
king of rough camping.
Well, I am.
And I see, sort of getting posts of emergency hotels.
Bikes in lifts into underground parking facilities. Yeah, if it's there and it's cheap, it sort of seems nice, doesn't it? But then it depends where you are. If you're in the hills, there's loads of opportunities to wild camp and there's lovely places to wild camp. But I've said this before, when you're down in the lowlands, although that was the big surprise of this ride, turns out, even when you're not in the Pyrenees, there's lots of plains in Spain, isn't there? But pretty much north, I suppose it's northwestern Spain, it's quite hilly, really.
So is that where you were? You were in northern Spain?
Yeah, and we were pretty much following. We were never far away from the TET that's established now, that's online, to download. But I was amazed at how high we always were. I think it has been designed so that you've always got a great viewpoint. You're often following ridges. That's why we were always near wind turbines, because we were always up high. But it was astonishing, really. It was just jaw-dropping views all day, every day.
So you'd recommend Spain?
I love it, yeah. I was talking to you into it the other day, wasn't I? Because it just seems a bit wilder than France, really.
Well, it's got to be better than. I mean, we had a great time in Belgium and Holland, but it's flat, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in and great countries, but Spain looked from your photographs far more.
The views are just astonishing. Yeah, it's just wonderful. And it's again, well, I suppose like Belgium, it seems very, very quiet. We didn't see any other. We met one group of French riders in sort of the whole week and a bit, I think.
Right. So this whole people getting worried about the TET destroying trails that exist and losing rights over them.
I think everyone, all the sort of little stories you hear, everyone's kind of disappointed that they didn't meet other riders.
Yeah.
Generally, we're all spread out over a huge line. And even on that busy section because I bet northern Spain's one of the busiest bits, but even that, it's not busy is the wrong word to describe it, really.
Yeah, so if we were to do another trip next summer, which hopefully we will, would you say, well, we're talking about Spain, we're talking about maybe Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Would you recommend Spain as a destination then?
Definitely. But then I really liked, did you see much of Ian Womack's trip when he went up through Scandinavia?
I did, yeah, it looked amazing.
That looked great, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm really tempted to go up. I always like being north. But, I would love it's so easy, I think. The ferry is quite expensive, but it's just so quick.
How expensive?
And with everyone's time constrictions, I think northern Spain's a great destination. How expensive? I think it was probably around, it was knocking on for 400 quid each.
It's not crazy, and it's overnight.
Yeah.
Just one overnight trip.
So with what you'll sort of save in food and fuel and tolls and hassle, and I think it's worth it, really.
Well, the other thing is if you're time constrained, it saves you 3 days riding through France, doesn't it, really? So,
and if it wasn't, and it's such a great destination,
I think
that's what makes it worth it, really.
Awesome. So how was it riding with, because obviously we know John, but I think you'd ridden with John once before, hadn't you?
Yeah.
So there's 2 other guys you've not ridden before, so there's always a different group dynamic with new people that you ride with. How did that work out?
Good. Everyone. I'm always constantly surprised at how good people are on motorbikes.
Skill-wise?
Yeah. I don't know why. I think, we've only ever been out once where we've kind of seen somebody fall off all day and we've cringed at it. But generally, the level of people's expertise is just amazing, I always think. And even with people that don't seem to ride very often, the level of skill just is, I'm always surprised at it.
That's probably because you're riding with people that have been riding for a few years. I mean, I look back when I first started trail riding in the Lake District, which is is quite technical. Some of it, I'd fall off 10 times a day.
Yeah.
Well, not fall off. You'd kind of wobble to a standstill and drop the bike, wouldn't you? Really, because you couldn't reach the ground or something like that. But I haven't done that for
I suppose most
at least 5 months.
Yeah, most grown-ups have got past that, haven't they?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Somebody got attacked by a bear. That was funny. No, not a bear, a wild boar. What am I saying?
What, on this trip?
Yeah. But unfortunately, it was Mr. Faulkner and he was at the back, so we really only have his word for it.
So he basically just got charged.
But all of a sudden I heard him blasting his horn furiously. And so I stopped and he caught up and he just, as he rode past, he just said, I've just been attacked by a wild boar. And this thing had run out, I think just sort of snapped at his heels and then run back into the side of the track again.
So I guess you disturbed it on something, so it was just fight or flight, and it decided to fight.
Still not really sure whether to believe him or not.
Good story, though.
I'd love to know if it's happened to anyone else.
Yeah. Right, Lynn. If you've ever been attacked by a wild animal. I've seen some badgers, but I've never been attacked by a badger. What else have you been up to?
Well, that's it. I haven't really, I've come home, I haven't washed the bike since I got back. It's just gone back in the garage and it's just sitting there. So I haven't really ridden much. I'm quite a soft rider when it comes to winter.
Well, I find that because obviously when you're really, really excited about riding and it's all you think about when you first get your bike and for maybe for a few years afterwards, you will go out in any kind of weathers, won't you?
Yeah.
If you've got a ride planned, you'll do it. Even if I've been out when it's snowing in the past, and people will do that. But I do find now that my enthusiasm is less.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I haven't ridden for 5 months, for goodness sake.
Tricky, isn't it? I ride the trial bike round the estate now and again, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, I haven't even got a road bike anymore. So I do need to...
I need to get out, but it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I quite like the fact that I quite like the thrill of when you don't ride for a while. It's quite exciting when you do.
It is a real treat, isn't it, then?
Yeah,
I'm with you on that one. So the other thing we've done is we went to the bike show.
Yes.
And I love going to the bike show. It's I remember going with my dad as a kid, and I still get that same kind of level of excitement when we get there.
Yeah,
it's good. And we met up with the two of the guys with John and Joe from your trip.
So when you were a kid, where was the bike show in Birmingham?
I think it was. Maybe it might have been
somewhere.
Well, maybe it was in London before then. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, there's a few, isn't there? There is one in
possibly
London somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean the NEC. I don't know how long the NEC's been there. I remember it being opening as a kid, so maybe I'm not even sure what timelines was. But I remember going to bike shows with my dad. In fact, basically we used to go whenever me and my dad went out for a ride on his bike, we'd inevitably just go from one bike shop to the next and look at motorbikes. It seemed to be what we do. Yeah. Apart from
there was no cafe culture, was there really then?
Certainly not. No pubs, and kids weren't allowed in pubs back then. It was absolutely packed when we were there on Saturday. It's quite difficult to move around. It was so busy. But I thought it'd be interesting to talk about some of the...
What did you think of the general quality of motorcycles? Just build quality.
Astonishing
Did
on
you
the whole.
Think so? I thought it's kind of... Everything's getting quite plasticky and cheap.
There is that. I mean, there's this... Certainly I noticed on some of the adventure bikes that I sat on, in veg bikes in inverted commas, there's a lot of plastic around the tank, isn't there, to make them look wider for some reason.
Yeah.
But I still comparing, I don't know, a Triumph to those little Herald bikes, which look beautiful. But when you got up close, the quality of the welding on them was appalling. It was like they'd been done by a child. Why they, on a show bike, hadn't, got an angle grinder on and, reduced the splatter and tidied it up before they actually showed the bikes was incredible. But... you look at bikes like the CCM, the welds on those were amazing, and most of the big, well-known European or Japanese manufacturers, I think, build standards. You take them for granted now, don't you? Really.
So CCM sort of seemed to have one of the biggest stands there, didn't they? Really,
they did. And talking to one of the guys, they've sold something like on the Saturday, so they had one day left. They'd sold 140 bikes or taken 140 deposits.
$10,000 each.
10 grand each, £500 deposit.
Yeah.
That's huge.
So they've done this thing, haven't they, where they've produced essentially one bike in slightly different guises. So it's sort of one...
So the Spitfire is...
Yeah. So they had a Spitfire plane. Quite a few stands had this, didn't they, where they had
something to attract you.
Well, of course, like there's 2 or 3 stands had a car on the.
Well, not only that, but they also some of them had a hairdresser on. You're not buying a bike; you're buying into a lifestyle, you hipster.
So yeah, the CCM stand. It was funny because my friend Ed put a picture on from the CCM stand from about 3 or 4 years ago when they brought out what was that trail bike called? They brought out with the 450 engine.
Oh yes, the CCM one.
Yeah.
Did it have a name?
Did it have a name? Let's call it. It was
the CCM Adventure.
Yeah, but that was a tiny stand 3 or 4 years ago. It was just like a big wigwam.
Yeah, I do remember that, but a nice stand, well designed. But it was a lot. That's bit. The CCM one was one of the bigger ones, wasn't it? Probably not quite as big as the Honda one, but fairly sizable. Well, obviously working for them.
So I haven't been for 2 years. It seemed pretty much the same old stuff in a way, didn't it? There wasn't too much new.
No.
And there wasn't much in the way of electric bikes, which I was quite surprised at.
That was surprising.
Although
Zero were there, the fairly small stand.
Yeah.
I think, and in the next 2 or 3 years, that's going to change massively, I think.
There was the lovely sort of cruiserish type electric bike.
You asked the price of that one, didn't you?
In a very loud hall, I asked the price of it and was quite shocked when the guy came back and said 14.
40.
Well, I thought he said 14. I was like, £14,000. And then he corrected me and said, no, 40.
Yeah, because the Zero bikes, who are probably one of the more established makes, they were around, I think some of them were as low as 7, weren't they? Were they that cheap?
I don't know.
The prices didn't look crazy to me.
No.
Obviously, the limiting factor on any electric bike is still going to be the range, but that's improving all the time, I think.
It's going to take a while, isn't it, for it to come down?
Yeah, but they're looking good, that's for sure.
But we thought you liked the Triumph, didn't you? The strange Triumph.
I loved the Triumph, the Scrambler, the one with the big suspension. I think there's an XC or an XE model. I think the XE is the one with the bigger, longer suspension. I just and I'm from Coventry. My dad lived just down the road from Meriden, so I've always been a fan of the Triumph, and I just think pretty much all of their bikes just look fantastic. But the Scrambler one, I found particularly attractive, and if I had the price hasn't been announced yet, and there's no way I could afford it, even if it was £3,000. So, but I would definitely have one of those if finance wasn't an issue.
But there was quite a few versions of that kind of bike, wasn't there? I really liked the Norton version of that bike.
Yes, and there's the Ducati
Desert Sled, and
the Scrambler, I think they call it, don't they?
Yeah.
Which are, again, they're all really. Although I think Triumph claim that their Scrambler is off-road capable, it's still going to be a hefty old beast. The Norton one, Norton bikes I think are beautiful, but for me, the Adventure didn't quite fit together. It looked a bit parts bin to me.
And you didn't like the new KTM bike?
The 790?
Yeah.
Well, I did, but it's still not filling that gap. I think it still looks too big and too heavy. I couldn't see what you could get from the 790 that you wouldn't get from the 690, which presumably is a lighter bike. I know it's got a smaller fuel range on it, but I didn't see how the 790...
So do they carry on making the 690?
I guess so. I think they are at the moment. I mean, there's the Husky as well, the 701, which is the same bike. So I didn't quite get the 790.
I thought it was strange. There's been all this talk about that 450 Honda that's come out that everyone was quite disappointed with.
Yeah.
And then you wander past the Yamaha stand, and there's that lovely Yamaha WR450.
Yeah.
And no one ever talks about that bike.
But isn't that an enduro bike, though?
No, there's a road.
There's a road version one.
There's one with lights.
But that's the enduro bike, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's pretty much the same sort of thing as the 450 that they're trying to push out. It's just a much nicer looking 450 than the Honda, really.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But that Honda, I mean, why? I don't understand why they've missed the opportunity. People were so excited about a 450 version of the 250L. And what you've actually got is just another enduro bike, really, with less power.
Yeah.
But you've still got the oil and filter changes on a fairly regular basis.
But the way Honda have sort of categorised their different styles of motorcycles is quite confusing. When we split up and you sort of said, and buy. I can't remember what you said. You would buy the. I think you said you would buy the 450L. No, the 250L.
250L, yeah.
The rally version. So I went back to the stand to try and find you, and I couldn't really work out where on the stand, because the stand was sort of mixed up into sort of 4 quarters, I think. But I couldn't work out. You sort of thought, well, maybe there'll be a sports bike section, there'll be a sort of an adventure bike section, a trail bike section, and maybe a scramble bike section or an off-road competition bike. And there wasn't really. It was all quite mixed up. They seemed to be confused about their genres, I thought. I don't know.
Yeah, I do find that whole 450 thing quite confusing and disappointing.
But it'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to hear somebody from Honda and what their take is on the adventure market, because they probably just think of it as in terms of big road bikes that aren't going to do much trail riding, really, or off-road bikes that are just off-road bikes and aren't going to do much else other than...
Yeah, and we're still looking for that compromise, which is an off-road, but still road-capable, which to me probably has to be a twin engine.
Yeah, but they were probably, to their minds, they're thinking the 250L
does it
is covering that.
But the last time I rode a 250 was in Morocco, and it was a Yamaha air-cooled
TTR.
Yeah, and I just remember locking it on in the sand, just locking it on, throttle wide open, and just hooning around on it.
Yeah,
just messing around, and it just felt, because it was so kind of just not enough power, really.
Yeah,
but that's me.
Yeah, that's you. But then that's most people,
I suppose.
Yeah, I'd like to find the 250 gang.
See, I want something.
I'd quite happily hang out with the 250 gang.
Well, maybe it'd be interesting to try one for a period of time. And that's the other thing with the 250L, Honda 250L, is the price. I mean, it is very reasonable, isn't it?
Wonderful, yeah.
Compared to $8,500 for an enduro bike, you're paying what, the 4.3 or something?
Yeah, and they're holding the value fantastically. You don't see many for less than sort of 3-ish. They've been out, since 2012 or 13 or something.
Yeah,
lovely bikes.
Yeah, I'd just like to have a go on one I just think it'd be underwhelming. I do like to have that, open the throttle and get a little bit excited, whereas I don't think you get that from any 250, really.
No.
So what do you think of the Honda, the 500 CBX?
It has changed a little bit, haven't they? Have they done a bit of a facelift on it?
Yeah, I think it's fairly small changes. I don't know the details, but still doesn't come with spoked wheels, which seems a bit daft if you're...
Yeah, they're still selling it as a road bike, aren't they?
Yeah.
But are you saying, what do I think of the Rally Raid CB500?
Well, both, really.
I like it. I wouldn't really like to ride something that big off-road, even on flat gravel it'd be good, wouldn't it? But
it's got, I don't know what the weight is. Presumably it's lighter than a...
Yeah. But if anything, like I say,
Going the other way.
I'm joining the 250 gang.
250s.
Yeah.
If you had to buy...
Oh, I love these questions.
Yeah. You had to buy, and I'll give you the money, one bike from the show, what would it be?
I think it would probably be I'd still like to own a 250L at some point. And I think it would be just a plain 250L rather than the Rally Raid. The Rally
version.
Yeah.
It just seems like a lot of plastic to scratch, really.
It seems like a lot of plastic. I don't like black wheels. I don't
looks
like
good,
the black fairing. I like the shape of it.
Yeah, no, it looks lovely. It looks like a rally bike.
It looks great, yeah. And I like the size
Beautiful
of it.
Thing.
But no, just a plain, simple 250L would be lovely.
Okay. Right.
What do you have?
I think I'd go for the 690 or the 701 KTM or the Husky.
Yeah.
Because I still think that is the perfect Tet bike.
Yeah. Well, wasn't it interesting that Mr. Tet, when we were on the Moscow Moto stand...
Ah, yes, I'd forgotten about that one.
The AJP bike that was on there.
Yeah, that's the AJP. Is it 7?
Yeah.
PR7 or something, which is the new AJP, and it's got the old Husqvarna 600 engine in it.
Yeah.
Which is also being used in the CCM Spitfire that we mentioned a while ago.
And that just looked like a great bike, didn't it?
It looked fantastic, actually. It's got decent quality suspension front and rear. It's got a centrally located low-down fuel tank as well. So you almost have to, I think you almost lift the seat off, don't you, to fill the... I can't remember where it was, but it was right in the middle of the bike.
And the air filter was amazing. And the air filter's just right behind the headstock.
Yeah.
Right on the top of the bike, which no one else has really done. BMW
Yeah.
sort of do it, but it's hidden under the...
And it was
plastics.
narrow. It was lightweight. It looked amazing.
Yeah, it looked great, didn't it?
Yeah.
But it was just funny that little bike, there was no JP stand, was there?
No, they were borrowing a bit of the Moscow
We
motor.
spent ages looking at that, and there it was, just tucked away on a luggage stand.
Yeah, and it was covered in mud still as well.
Yeah.
Just deliberate, I guess. But no, that looked a genuine
great.
contender.
Yeah.
$8,500. So it's on par with a,
Yeah.
450 Enduro bike.
Yeah.
But no, it looked superb actually.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think I'd still go for the 690.
Yeah, you would, yeah. Bah.
Yes, fair comment. Fair comment. Okay, so
And I like the Norton. If you've seen as you're paying, yeah, I would like.
That's the second-
Norton
that's-
bike,
okay,
but
the
that would
second
just be a
bike.
posy bike, yeah.
yeah, no, it was a beautiful thing. Even though I didn't like it, it's still more attractive than your VRX. So I think I would get the Triumph Scrambler,
Yeah,
the big tall suspension. I think it's the XE version.
yeah.
I
Not the one with
loved
the ape handlebars.
No, that was the.
What was that?
I did quite like that. Was the bobber,
Oh.
but I did quite like that as well. In fact, I like any other Triumphs.
We said, didn't we, coming out, that the Triumphs, across the board, Triumph seem to have the best looking bikes, really.
I think so. But well, Ducati are fairly stunning as well,
Yeah.
but not
And BMs were kind
not
of
in our world. Wow, BMW. It was interesting actually. I didn't spend more than. In fact, I just didn't even look at the big GS or the Adventure Twin because that's just not what I want really.
No.
They're just road bikes. Let's face it.
Yeah.
But interesting, I am. So next March, I get a small bonus from work, so I have a couple of grand going spare.
All right.
I'm not. It's just that's I deserve it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'm going to get a second. I think I'm going to get a road bike.
Yeah.
And it was interesting actually because one of the other, and it's connected slightly, is one of the other bikes that I was quite impressed with the Enfield Himalayan.
Yeah.
It actually looked pretty good in the flesh
Yeah. Yeah.
and incredibly cheap, about 442 or something like that.
Is it? Wow.
I mean, that's fantastic for the money.
Yeah.
But what did occur to me, for $4,000, you can get an older GS 800.
Yeah. Yeah.
So which would you get? A brand new Enfield
Yeah.
or a second-hand?
Well, it depends on depends on personal taste, doesn't it?
Obviously.
I mean, Nathan's shown, hasn't he, that bike's you can do a lot with that bike.
He's done something like 16,000
He's done
miles on
shitloads with
his,
it, hasn't he?
and he likes
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So, and it, the foot pegs aren't falling off.
No.
So the quality is there, I think.
Yeah.
Although we did look at some of the other Enfields and things like the switch gear on it was kind of sharp, plasticky, and
Yeah,
not
but
particularly nice.
that's on everything now, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
I did get home and look at my old bikes in the garage and see them in a slightly new light, because the quality of bikes made in the 90s and early 2000s seems a world away from what's been made now.
I think
Better. Yeah.
more solidly built.
Yeah. But they should get. It's shocking that Enfield haven't given Nathan his money back.
The amount of marketing
Yeah, that
he's
bought
doing
that
for
bike.
them
It's
is
outrageous,
phenomenal. Yeah, they should.
I'm leading a campaign.
Yeah, let's start it now.
Yeah.
Do some kind of online petition.
Yeah.
Have it
That's
read out in Parliament.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Enfield. Give
Nathan his
Maybe
money.
they already have.
Maybe they already have. I bet they haven't.
take it back. The other thing we got talking to was the guy on. He's a friend of mine actually. I used to work with Nick on the Helite airbag stand.
Yeah.
I was quite impressed with these airbag jackets.
Yeah.
Is
That was the most fun I had the whole day.
Watching me
was
with an explosive device strapped to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I basically wore one of these vests and it was set off as if in an accident.
So it's just like a wraparound. It's just a vest that's just like an air bladder, isn't it?
Yeah.
With a capsule on it, like you would blow up a tire with an air cartridge.
So that was exactly. Yeah, it's like a soda siphon type cup, but bigger.
Yeah.
And it contains liquid.
Yeah.
Something or other.
So then there's a device that's a little bit like on a 2.2 rifle. It's just a thing that a spring-loaded pin
pierces the canister.
The bottle, yeah. And so there's this instant inflation.
It's instant. It's not even momentary. It is just 1 minute you're standing there, the next minute this thing explodes. And
so it's like the life jacket, isn't it? It's the same
cocooned.
kind of shape as a modern day life jacket.
I guess so,
Starts
yeah.
self-inflating quickly.
But that, I mean, it would support your helmet, so it's going to protect your neck. It's going to protect your whole of your back.
Yeah.
I was massively impressed.
Yeah. It was weighty, wasn't it? It was about, what was it? It was a kilogram, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, but because the other thing they do is the full jackets as well. So that didn't feel that much heavier than a normal bike jacket.
Yeah.
But he's going to send us a jacket and a vest to try out off road, because one thing he's keen to understand is there a market for them in the off road.
So you would still wear elbow pads with it?
You'd still wear your elbow and probably shoulder as well.
Yeah.
It's got a built-in back protector, and the back protector sits above the airbag.
Yeah.
Because one thing he did after he set it off, he hit me in the back with a 4-pound lump hammer.
Yeah.
Which I felt, but it didn't hurt. I knew somebody was hitting me.
Yeah.
But I think, the level of protection it must give would be phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, so we're going to try some out anyway off-road. I can't imagine you're going to want to wear one in a day's trail riding.
So they've said that the thing can go off. They've tested it to 200 times, haven't they? But unofficially, I think he said you probably
do a lot
use
more.
it more than that. But then it's not going to go off 200 times.
You're not going to fall off 200 times, because you basically attach a lanyard to the bike,
and it's elasticated.
Yeah, and you can pull on it quite hard without it going off. It's only when you put some serious heft into it that it will actually go off.
Yeah.
So you're not going to fall off your motorbike 200 times. And if you are, I'd suggest getting a car.
I suspect, I don't know, we said, didn't we, would we use one? I would use one if I was doing lots of road miles, and I rode a lot faster than I do.
Yes. I think, the speed you're going off-road, generally, you can fall off, and your standard back protector and elbow, and you might bash something, but you can generally get back on again. But I think if the speeds increase, that's where they start to get useful.
Yeah. It was pricey, wasn't it?
Yes, they are expensive, about 400 or 500 quid.
500-ish, yeah.
But
just for the vest, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much the jackets are, presumably far more expensive.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to try some out and give them a go, see how we get on. So we'll report back on that at some point. Anything else from the show?
It was noisy. It was way too noisy. We need to have a word with the organisers about that.
There was. It was like a disco in the corner.
It was hellish.
Was it too noisy, or are we just too old?
No, I've spoken to people even younger than me who said it was way too noisy.
What, like 40-year-olds?
I don't know. It seems wrong to bring that up, but it was quite hard to deal with, wasn't it? And I know we split up from people that we were with, and they were phoning me, and I couldn't even hear my phone.
No, you just sound like an old man now.
Yeah, but it was crazy. It's never been like that in the past.
I don't remember it being that noisy. There was wasn't there some motorbike circus or something going on?
Probably.
Maybe it was that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But no, it was a good show. I would go on a weekday next time.
Yeah, I think last time we went, we had a day off, didn't we?
Yeah.
And went down.
Yeah.
But yes, I think Saturday was very busy, and I imagine the Sunday was as well.
I don't know. It's funny. It depends. I don't know what you get out of it. What you get out of it, don't you? It wasn't, like I say, I didn't think, there's loads of new things to see, but it was still nice to see.
Definitely. Well, the things I was interested in was I'd not sat on a 250L before. I wanted to see the Himalayan. I wanted to see the new 790 KTM.
Yeah.
I wanted to sit on the Honda CBX, see how that felt.
I don't really get the whole sitting on bikes thing at bike shows.
You sat on one bike, didn't you?
Yeah, because I don't really know. They all kind of feel. Don't know. I don't think you get any idea about a bike just from sitting on it.
No, I don't think you do really. But I think
unless you're excessively tall or excessively small, it's even no great advantage to it really.
No, I still like to do it though.
Yeah,
but yeah,
the only things I sat on were tiny 125s just to sort of see if I could live with that tiny bike. I like tiny bikes, I suppose. Tiny bikes are more fun.
Fair enough.
I like anything small.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I've got a little quiz for you. It's like those emergency questions.
Yes, I have tried to.
So this is right, either or.
Yeah.
And you don't have to. You can answer any way you want. Really, you don't have to say one or the other. You can give a reasoning.
The dark-haired one.
I haven't asked
it
you
used
a
to be
question
blonde-haired one. Now it's the dark. Oh, this isn't the
Starsky
ABBA.
and
This
Hutch.
isn't the ABBA question.
No, it's the Starsky and Hutch
Oh,
one.
right. That's all right.
Honda,
Yeah.
or BMW?
This is. I don't know whether to say this out loud because because I'm a Honda aficionado, aren't I?
Well, officially,
I would like Honda, and I probably just like Honda because of the font of the that they use.
I like the wing
in the Honda.
I'm going to
thing.
get that wing tattooed at some point.
Yeah, I'd have a Honda tattoo just because I like the font. But when you look at the quality again of BMW, they've stayed great, haven't they? The fixtures and fittings are wonderful.
And they're not odd anymore. There was a time back in the 70s and 80s that everything they made was just like, where has that come from?
Yeah.
So they're actually making bikes now that are
Yeah.
still different. But
I think what I love about Honda is that, like fish in the sea, just when you think you've seen them all, Attenborough will show you another one that you've just never seen before. And Honda's like that. Just when I think I've seen every single Honda, there's another one that I didn't even know about. If I go into a Honda dealership and tell them what bikes I've got, the guy in the shop won't even, he won't recognise some of the bikes I've got.
Not if he's younger than
And he works for
45.
Honda. Yeah. So I like the range of Hondas.
Mm-hmm.
Honda.
Okay. I thought you're going with Honda?
Yeah, well, yeah,
of course.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
fair enough. All right, solo or with friends?
This is a terrible idea. Solo.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You prefer to go solo than with friends?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I just don't think I would do a solo trip, even if I had the time.
Oh, it's fantastic by yourself.
Do you think?
Yes.
Oh no, but you can't stop and chat and say how brilliant this is and share things with people.
You stop far more. You'll chat more with people. It's a cliche, isn't it? You'll talk more to people if you're
to
by
other
yourself.
people. Yeah, because you'll
have a much better travelling experience.
Fair enough.
I would rather. I mean, that's but then if at home I would ride with other people. That's more fun. But in another country, by yourself's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe I should try it.
It's just so much more exciting.
Mm.
There's always this debate, isn't there? We've probably had it before about the risks of it, but that's part of the excitement. Really, is the fact that you're by yourself. It's thrilling.
Okay. Road or trail?
Why are we asking you? Why is it? Why?
Because I've done some preparation. You just turn up with a set of headphones.
Both. Which one? If I could only have one.
I don't know. Road or trail? That's the question.
Well, trail, I suppose, but I do love road riding.
I'm missing it now because we did those European trips and we haven't done one for blimmin' hell years now, 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And I do fancy doing it again. And I want to get another road bike and I want to.
Yeah.
It just seems like less hassle, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you don't have to spend a day.
It has to be the right kind of roads, doesn't it? Because when you think, sometimes if you say to people road riding, people will just assume you're talking about riding along in a straight line. But when you get to the Alps or to Norway, it's the feeling of it and the playing with gravity you get from riding around corners on good tarmac on a nice bike.
Yeah, definitely. And we're kind of sport where we live as well.
It's an endless roller coaster ride, really.
Yeah, west coast of Scotland, amazing.
Yeah, and you just don't feel that on a trail bike. You don't feel the forces of gravity as much.
You do, you fall off.
You do, yeah. But cornering on a big bike on a road is great.
Tea or beer?
Yeah. You know the answer to all these questions.
I've prepared them specially for you.
Well, it's tea, isn't it? Obviously.
No.
Oh, God. First thing in the morning, what do you want?
Coffee. And then a tea.
Yeah, tea.
Yeah, okay. Free or hard earned? I'm just thinking of all the bloody free kit you've been getting recently.
I haven't had a lot of free kit.
But some.
Well, this is another conversation, isn't it? Sponsorship and being given stuff. It's a dangerous road to go down, isn't it?
It is.
There's pressures that come, not great pressures, but there's choosing gear and just choosing something and buying it and using it is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. So, the other thing is when you've been given stuff, you feel obliged to.
You do, yeah.
Yeah. Not that
and
anybody's
most gear is
asked
good.
us
It's not that
to
you
say
it's
nice
not,
things about it, but you do feel that slight obligation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a left field one. Floristry or retail management? You don't have to answer that one. It's a private joke.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one. Miles per gallon or brake horsepower?
Miles per gallon.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't even know why we're friends, to be honest.
No.
I don't even... the fact that we go out motorcycling together...
That's a tricky one because it's both, isn't it? It's a trade-off between the two.
For this exercise, you can only have one or the other.
Yeah, well, I'm not interested in horsepower, really. Just because it doesn't come in handy on the kind of riding I'm doing.
Right. Okay.
Really.
Weirdo.
Everything I really enjoy, I could quite happily do on a 50cc bike.
So coming away from these either or questions, I've still got one more left now.
It's not about all-day weddings, is it?
No. So you're a serial motorcycle buyer and seller.
Yeah.
Why don't you ever seem to establish some kind of emotional bond with your motorcycle?
Well, I have done.
Which one?
With all 5 of them.
You're lying, because 3 months' time, you've probably only got 3 of those left, and you'll have 2 new ones.
No, but this has been the thing,
there.
isn't it? Because I came to, even though I've had off-road bikes my whole life, I've come to road bikes quite late on. And it's been a struggle to find out which exact genre of motorcycling I'm most interested in. And that's why I've got different bikes for different things, because I'm not quite sure which one to settle on. So, what's your question?
Why don't you establish
one? My dream is just I would love to have one bike in the garage, but it doesn't work like that, does it?
It doesn't. But
no.
So I've got 2 bikes left in the garage now, one of which I will never sell.
The one that you've not finished building?
No, that I'm not. That doesn't even count. It's still in bits. But the 400 KTM,
yeah,
I had that from new. Yeah. I will never sell that bike. I will always, at some point I'll probably have to restore it, but I'll always keep it.
Really?
It's not worth. Why would I sell it? It's hardly worth selling for the money you get for it.
Yeah.
And yet, if I look after it, it's going to run forever and still provide me with the same amount of fun and entertainment. And I feel, I've invested in that bike.
Yeah. Well, I probably feel like that about the XR that I've had a long time.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
I thought you might say that. But I can't, the 990 that I had to sell, and I bought that bike with an inheritance from my dad. And so that was incredibly hard selling that.
Yeah.
I can't even look at photographs of it now because it upsets me that I haven't got it
anymore. But you could buy another one.
It wouldn't be the same. I bought that one with my inheritance
so it's
money.
That actual machine that you're attached to.
Yeah. And the guy that's bought it off me is going to travel the world on it, so it's going to come back absolutely fucked.
You see, I'm not attached to bikes that I could instantly replace.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are hard to find that I've hung on to.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like there's obviously something psychologically wrong with me or with you.
But if it's replaceable, isn't it? That's the whole...
I suppose, yeah.
I've just hung on to stuff that if I then regretted selling it, it would be really difficult to find another one.
Yeah, exactly.
VRX.
Yeah. Let's not go there. All right, last question. Value for money or a work of art?
Well, again, a bit of both, but I suppose all my bikes have been value for money. I've always bought bikes that when they've sort of reached a level of depreciation where they're just going to settle at that and given enough time, go up slightly from that. And that's why, I sort of don't feel bad saying I've got 4 or 5 bikes, because they're 4 or 5 bikes that are worth as much as most people's one bike. They're all sort of $2,000-ish, less than that really. But none of them are worth more than 2.5, I would say.
Fair enough. It's funny actually, because I think my answers to all of those are almost exactly the opposite of yours. Apart from the Honda or the BMW one, because I'd probably get
But works of art, I would say the VRX is a work of art. But then it's subjective, isn't it? You don't see it
completely subjective. Yeah, no, I don't see that at all.
Yeah.
So the things we did agree on were the trail riding.
Yeah. All-day weddings.
All-day weddings.
Yeah.
That's it. We both enjoy trail riding more than road riding. We have nothing else in common.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was protective gear, because we have quite different views over protective gear. I'm more of an all the gear, all the time kind of guy.
You wear loads, don't you? When I
do. I've got everything. Yeah.
When we stop and have a coffee, if I do manage to get you to stop and have a coffee,
you don't struggle with me.
If I'm being nice and helpful and I pick up your jacket and help you put it on like a butler, I'm always shocked at how heavy it is.
That's because I've got 2 jackets. So there's the very old, what was that German company that were everywhere?
Heinrich Gerich.
Hein Gerich or whatever they were. So I've got that jacket, which has got shoulders, elbows, back, and it's quite a heavy piece of kit. But if I'm not wearing that, if we're going out trail riding, I normally wear body armour with a climb thing over the top.
Yeah, I'm shaking my head.
But I've also got armoured shorts with coccyx and thigh protectors,
Yeah. What do you think's going to happen?
knee pads. I haven't finished yet. Knee pads.
Yeah.
And boots.
Yeah.
So I'm covered from head to toe. The only thing I don't have is a neck brace, and I probably would have one of those if I could afford one. But the thing is, I don't think anything's going to happen.
Gum shield. You're not wearing a gum shield.
No.
All right.
But I guess it's a case of the chances are nothing's going to happen.
It's just you got to assess your own risk, haven't you?
Well, that's what I do, and I'm kind of thinking, well, even if you just have a low speed tumble, I mean, if you're going to get hit by a lorry, no amount of safety gear is going to save you.
No.
Literally.
My friend Neil, who'd been travelling down through America, he got loads of hassle. What's this story? It was something about helmets. He got talking to a Harley rider. That was right. It was a Harley rider that didn't wear a helmet, and so he got into a chat about it. I think this is right, about helmets, and wasn't he crazy for not wearing a helmet on his Harley? And he said that helmets were crazy because they weren't tested. They were only tested up to sort of 10 miles an hour or something.
Yeah.
Now, it turns out this is sort of true. Helmets aren't thrown at a wall at 70 miles an hour to see if they work, because the helmet manufacturers have thought, well, most of the time when your head hits the ground, it's not doing 70 miles an hour. If it is doing 70 miles an hour, there probably isn't a helmet that can do much for you. But so most helmets just drop from 6 feet and at a very low speed.
But that I guess that sums up my whole reason for doing it. Really, is that, well, why on earth wouldn't you wear one? I mean, it's good for eye protection.
Yeah.
And I've come off a fairly low speed, but I just remember hitting the ground so quickly. I didn't even get my arms down. I hit the ground that quickly, and my head hit a rock.
Yeah.
Quite significantly, and it scraped up the side of the helmet.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't had a helmet on, that had probably done me some serious damage. But as it was, I got back on the bike and rode away.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you wear a helmet? That's just nuts.
If I'm riding in a group, like I have this helmet where the chin guard comes off, this lovely HJC helmet, which is very much so. This has been interesting, isn't it? Because Nolan are bringing out this helmet with the removable chin guard.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of a debate, wasn't there, on Facebook recently about this on the tech site.
There's debates about everything on the tech
Well, there's
site.
debates, isn't there? That needs addressing. So if I'm riding in a group, I will put my chin guard on because I'll have to ride at a pace, to keep up with people. So then I'll think, well, probably a fall at this pace probably means it's good to have a chin guard. If I'm riding by myself, I'll almost always take the chin guard off.
But you don't wear knee pads, do you, either?
No, I don't.
So for me, more so for you, because of the nature of your work.
Yeah.
If you, I don't know, bashed your knee and, knocked the cartilage out of place or something, and you ended up with a knee that you couldn't walk on for 3 weeks, you got no money coming in.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had knee pads, you might just get up and brush them off. And
I suppose I'm so used to riding by myself. When I'm riding by myself, I'm in first or second gear, and I'm not falling off, and I'm riding very slowly, and just wearing gear just doesn't seem necessary. And for that one, I might fall off once every number of years, it just doesn't seem worth. And just the gear I have, some of the road, if I'm using my road pants, they do have knee pads in. But no, I don't wear braces, and I've been using that Adventure Spec jacket, that lovely thing that doesn't, and that hasn't got a back protector in it. But I'm just not falling
Do you not wear?
off.
That's the point. How often do you wear a back protector?
Only if I'm riding a road bike. If there's a chance that I'll be sliding down the road at 50 miles an hour. But most of the time I'm trail riding and I'm doing no speed at all, and I just don't need all this gear.
Well, that's the thing. You don't need it until you fall off. But
even when I'm falling off on a trail, I don't think at the speed I'm doing, the back protector's not going to do a heck of a lot for me, really. But as I say, I think it's just all about assessing your own risk. And if you are going to fall off a lot, then you're going to need some gear. But if you're not falling off a lot, you don't need all this.
Just plan ahead then, right?
Yeah.
Don't plan to have an accident, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So what about that argument that people say every now and again, they wheel it out, that wearing protective gear is counterproductive because it just makes you ride faster and feel safer?
There was a thing with the cycling in London, wasn't there, that somebody did a survey. I don't know why I thought this had something to do with Boris Johnson, but I think he might have raved about it, because they found that people that wear helmets or people that don't wear helmets ride a lot more conservatively on bicycles than people that do ride helmets.
Yeah, I think that's a crock of shit.
Do you?
Yeah.
And it's probably more importantly, people are more likely to give you a wide berth on a bicycle if they see you're not wearing a helmet. they'll see you as a far more vulnerable road user.
Maybe.
Now, that doesn't really come into play, does it, on a motorcycle? But
No, I'm not changing my mind, though.
yeah.
All the gear all the time, except when I don't.
Yeah. But you've never come back from a trip and thought, well, why was I wearing all that gear?
All the time, yeah, especially when it's hot. And the more gear you've got on, the hotter you are.
Yeah.
And also with knee pads, it's difficult to get a comfortable pair that don't rub after a while, after a few days.
Yeah.
So quite often if we're doing a multi-day trip, I'll actually, bizarrely, wear less protective stuff and maybe just put pads into jackets and trousers, which are going to be less effective than proper body armour.
I've just not had a big fall ever on the road. I've never had a big fall on a track, really. And I just don't want to be riding at the sort of speed where I'm going to need that kind of stuff.
Yeah, fair enough. Each their own.
And I do love wearing an open-face helmet. It's just much nicer. Motorcycling is much nicer in an open face.
No, I can understand that.
Yeah. But I'm not going to change your mind, and you're not going to change mine on this.
Well, I don't know, because I do. It is less comfortable. And certainly when it's, as I say, when it's hot, you get sweaty and it's pretty unpleasant.
Yeah.
Because I've done it for so long now, I worry that the first time, you go out without your knee pads on, that's the time you fall. It's sod's law, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the time you fall over and bash your knee.
Yeah.
And end up, on crutches for a month.
I have very soft former boots, that adventure boot. It's just a nice leather boot, really.
Yeah.
And again, Mr. Ross told me about, I think it was a terrible accident he had, didn't he?
Yes.
And he would never go back to wearing a soft. I think he might have had a fairly soft.
That was in the second podcast you talked about.
Yeah.
That.
And that made me I started to shop around and look at other boots. But
Well, I did the same thing. I went to Morocco on a trip, and it was mainly going to be a road trip. And then we ended up doing some off-road as well.
Yeah.
And I got whacked in the shin by a rock.
Yeah.
And it absolutely killed.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'd had, the normal motocross boots on that I wear, probably wouldn't have felt it.
I don't wear all the gear, and that's in the same way that I don't wear a crash helmet in the car because I don't drive like a rally driver. If I did, I'd wear a helmet.
That's an interesting analogy, actually. I like that. Yes, I see where you're coming from.
I'm full of these analogies.
Thanks for listening. We really appreciate your support. Don't forget you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you really appreciate what we do, you could consider supporting us on Patreon or buy us a coffee. Links are available on our website, which is tampodcast.com, tampodcast.com, where we also have a limited selection of branded stuff. But either way, please keep listening and spreading the word. See you next time.